Good afternoon. Welcome to our session this afternoon. My name is Alex Shi. I've been in the PNC industry for the past 22 years. In the last 10 years, when I'm working for Guidewire, my major focus is the complex, large commercial line of business and their configuration. So today, I'm going to talk about and offer a sneak preview about our brand new Advanced Product Designer microservices. And then my colleague Anant Manu is going to talk about the matching methodology that unlocks the power of APD to shorten your implementation and your project. Anant, would you like to have a self-intro for yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So this is Anant Manu. I've been with Guidewire for 13 years, and nearly all of that time has been spent in delivery services, implementing projects. That includes being a part of the implementations across all the Midwest regions and different projects and different life cycles, implementing different things, different technologies, different parts in the transformation, so being just a part of all that excitement, right? Most recently, I've combined that experience with close proximity with product development to do one thing, which is laser focused to produce collateral so that we can evolve our methodology, including for APD, so that we can enable the teams to adopt Guidewire product capabilities faster and easier. So that's my role. So Alex, back to you.
Thank
I'm going
you,
to step
Dan.
off stage.
All right,
The
cool.
stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So because we're a public company, right? So I just want to flash this busy slide for you. So because basically we try to legally protect for ourselves where, as much as we wanted to offer transparency about our future plan to you, but at the same time, we're not legally obligated to stick to exactly what we say today because development may change, but we wanted to offer and maximize our delivery. All right, with that out of the way, I'm going to give you some kind of, the first and the second section I'm going to talk to those two sections. The first one is slide. The second one is a demo recording because logistically it's just easier to have a 2.5 minutes kind of live demo. And then Anant is going to take over for the third sections. So before I start, so can you show me your hands? Have you ever maybe tried or used the APD one way or the other? Excellent, thank you very much. So some of you who raised their hand a moment ago, so you are among the earlier customers who have experienced some of the earlier version of the Advanced Product Designer we offered inside the Policy Center as part of the Policy Center. But I guess from your early usage of the APD, you can clearly see that there are a few key values we're driving toward to improve and reach your business agilities. So for example, the visual configuration or visually configure your product definition, right? And for example, you can utilize the X-Mind mind map as your canvas. So you can sit down with your business stakeholders, whether it's compliances, marketing, underwriting, right? You can sit down with your stakeholders to negotiate and sketch out the majority part of your product, right? So that alone will speed up your initial stage of your product design, or could be like a major product revision, right? So that's one example of visual configuration. But even after you import the X-Mind with that kind of product sketch into the APD UI itself is not coding UI, right? You can still looking at all the business-friendly kind of configuration and a button and knob to configure more complex, like the availability rules, right? Using some very simple, easy to understand logical expression, right? So that is the visual configuration we wanted to deliver and make it even better for you in the future. So the second major value I think that's important to you is the automatic code generation inside the Policy Center, right? So I think a majority of you are using Policy Center as your policy admin systems from us, right? So with the automatic code generation, it dramatically reduces your implementation effort from end to end, right? But the other value you may not realize is imagine from the point of you make a little tweak in your definition to the point where you can see your little change in action at the runtime. If we compress with this automatic code generation, we literally compress this time into a few minutes at the most. So that actually enables you to iteratively change a little bit here and to fine tune a little bit there to get to your final goal, through a couple rounds of kind of change and revision. So that will also improve your experience when you're going through that very kind of complicated revision process. So far, because the value we start delivering and showing in our earlier version, so we received a lot of great kind of like interest, and there are a couple of customers already adopted this earlier version of APD. So we're very happy to see that. So by Dobson, we're introducing the cloud-native advanced product designer that is totally outside of Polycenter as a microservices. Because we'd like to ensure that we do this architecture change in the early stage to have the right foundation so we can further our investment to deliver the visual configuration, deliver the automatic code generation, and deliver the standardized API for you to retrieve the product definition. So when we say configuration, we mean configuration. It's not coding in Gosu, right? So the example I gave a moment ago is about today you need to go to Studio, write some kind of Gosu script to configure your product coverage availability, for example. Not anymore. In APD, you utilize the visualized rule editor to configure your availability or existence rules in a very simple and intuitive way. So the other benefit as a result of this microservice version of the Advanced Product Designer is behind the scene, whenever you finish your configuration of your product, we save the definition in JSON, which has nothing to do with any systems implementations. It doesn't matter PC has its own specification or insurance now or claim system or your proprietary digital system. Doesn't matter. You define your product once, and it can be distributed and consumed by all your applications throughout your ecosystems. So that is why I care about this architecture change by Dobson so much, right? And you may wonder that once we take the APD functionality out of the Polycenter, so you may wonder, how about the automatic code generation in PC? Rest assured, we keep that functionality, and then we will make it even better, right? So it just means that behind the scene, as part of this Guidewire Cloud offering, with this, between this cloud-native APD services and our Polycenter in the cloud, we do seamless integration for you. So once you finish your configuration inside APD, you can switch over to your PC, and with click of a button, the Polycenter will call the APD service API to get definition for you. And you can continue doing all the same visualization, code generation from there. No change. So it's just regular Swagger UI that represents the APD API. So you're supposed to use and stick to this set of APIs to retrieve and consume any line of business, right? So any systems like your agency management systems or your MGA systems or your digital. So you can always using this same set of API to consume the definition. And I can even tell you that even between our Polycenter and the APD service, we're using the same API. And later, when I show you the demo recording to show you the brand new web UI where you configure your product, we're using the same API between our own UI and our own APD services. So seeing is believing. Unfortunately, I did a little bit of research with the video expert, Zach. I cannot stop the video recording in the middle, right? So I will have to play the entire 2.5 minutes video for you. But I wanted to say that in this 2.5 minutes, the first 1.5 minutes is more like a sneak preview about this kind of brand new APD service-based web UI that will facilitate all the configuration for you, right? And then the last 1 minute is a very simple example where our other policy admin system called Insurance Now, they are just taking the JSON version of the product definition and pull into their own system and their own stack and showing that definition to their own design time user. So that is just a little kind of example to show you that any systems can understanding and parsing and consume the JSON format of the definition. So I'm going to click the video recording. Okay, so this is the Guidewire entry point, so-called Guidewire Cloud Home, right? So it's tailored for you based on how you what you purchased. So this is the brand new APD UI where you can either start from scratch or you can import your product sketch using mind map. So in this case, we're importing a mind map already have some of the product. So once you import it, you get a message, and you see your personal line showing up on the screen. And then you pick the edition, which is a set of rules to tailor the availability, those kind of stuff. So in this case, it's a so-called multi-state or countrywide, right? And then so on the left-hand side, you see the risk hierarchy as a tree structure. But once you click into the risk or into the coverage, it will show you all the details. So this is a very early version of our UI, and it will only get better every 2 weeks because that's our cloud-native microservice, kind of like a dev kind of cadence, right? So this is the Insurance Now studio, right? So where they just do a very kind of rudimentary, like a import of a JSON, right? But the JSON is actually what APD saved behind the scenes. So in this case, they're importing the homeowner's line of business. And in the Insurance Now kind of studio or design time tool, they have to add some kind of like a metadata just for their own kind of management, right? So once they import it, and then click into that homeowner line of business for California. Click. Okay, so these are all the line level, dwelling level kind of coverage, right? And in their studio, they have a fancy kind of type ahead search. That's fine, right? That's their kind of functionality. We will have too. So the point is, the consumption of the JSON, the standardized JSON definition is very straightforward. Anyone can do that, and we publish our schema as well, right? I think that's the end of the video, which I may not be able to tell. Yeah, it's the end of the video, 2.5 minutes. So I think there's a gentleman who raised a hand over there. Would you mind come up to the front, and so everybody can hear your question?
So I think.
Take your time. Don't worry.
So I have a few kind of interrelated questions that are around what you mentioned as it's an iterative cycle. So the current APD is really, you got to completely define the product in your whole product hierarchy, and then it's a one-way push. Can you do things like adding new endorsements to a configured product, or adding another one in the hierarchy, and then import that again in Policy Center and true iteration?
Okay, great question. So what I meant to contrast is really between the traditional self-managed Policy Center with its own product designer and a studio, right? So I want to contrast what this kind of new APD concept, what kind of value it brings to the table, right? So in the traditional Policy Center world, you use product designer, you use studio, you use a lot of coding, right? And eventually you will see the runtime generate runtime artifacts like a product model goes through for the entity and for the risk attributes, so on and so forth. So because the coding is involved, the skill set is involved. So between your change of your definition to the point where you can see your change in action, the time tend to be kind of longer. Right? Now with APD, regardless whether the earlier version inside the PC, Policy Center, or the newer version by Dobson as a part of EA program, early access program, the new APD, the goal is to make sure that we continue to invest into the Policy Center automatic code generation. So whenever you make change in your definition, you will quickly, with a click of button, you will see your change in action. And then you can come back, adding more endorsement, other like a coverage term and option values, as many times as you want. So what I'm trying to say is before, a month ago, you have a new requirement, and you will only see your result a month later with the IT involvement. Now, the IT and the business, they can sit side by side, collaborate, and because the automatic code generation, you can see your change and the effect of change right away. So that iterative kind of process is going to increase your velocity and also increase the final quality of your product configuration. Does that answer your question?
So what if the product's already in production? It's completed a cycle. So it's in production.
Mm-hmm.
Can you add an endorsement to that product that's already in production?
So that is a typical life cycle kind of question. You have to version your product definition as a version 2 or version 3 because you're not going to touch your production definition randomly, right? So, and Anand is going to speak to that as well.
Yeah, so let me start with the answer to that question. I want to add some comments, and then we will move on to the one. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So APD is a tool, and what essentially, and other customers have asked, or internal teams have asked exactly that. Can I iterate on what I thought yesterday or day before yesterday and extend on this model? I am, to your point, you're already in production. It could be in any different stage of the project. So what does that mean is, there is no one approach to accomplish exactly that. In your case, it is implementing the delta, the new endorsements to our production system. It needs a combination of effort. Some would be IT effort. But the APD tool itself, it depends on, it uses that mind map, which is very easy to work with. It's not a source of truth for having all the product definition in that. That's the nature of this tool, APD. That's how it was designed. We can make those changes to the committed mind map at that point of time, whenever we went live. The delta changes, a developer like I will have to implement those delta changes in my local and then just push those 5 different coverages which you added. We have published this approach as a part of our APD FAQ and our APD guidebook. So it goes in a little bit more detail. How do you do that? What are the different actions involved and all that stuff? It's great. That FAQ has about, I think, about 70, 75 questions like these, which the teams do have tripped up on questions like these. So yeah, I would like to mention that those 2 artifacts, APD artifacts, are available on community.guidewire.com as well. If you cannot find it, amanu@guidewire.com, please do email. I will share them with you. Right? With that, did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So with that, yes. So Alec, you talked about that big diagram which was in there, APD right in the middle and the whole stuff outside. I was looking at some of those boxes, but what do they mean to an implementation project or to SurePath implementation methodology itself, right? I want to dig into that a little bit. With that, APD tool, now that we saw that demo, I want to share that how it has, our APD tool is transforming our SurePath implementation methodology itself, which is focused on maximizing the lift from all Guidewire capabilities, APD tool included. Before I jump into a little bit more detail on what those changes are, I threw a term, SurePath. Right? I want to give a little bit of an intro to SurePath. What is SurePath? If you do not know or if you're not familiar with. Real short, SurePath is our proven path to success for all implementations, right? This is not new. We've been working on this for many, many years. We've been trying to distill all the field experience since many years, and we are putting all that collateral available inside to Guidewire and external teams. And over the period of time, we thought that, oh wow, we should publish this. This is beneficial for everyone. right? So all that goodness is published under SurePath umbrella. It contains our methodology, our collateral, white papers, data sheets, standards, not ready for Guidewire solutions, but ready to use solutions or integrations, right? A lot of these solutions, again, available in marketplace and available through your Guidewire colleagues who are on your project or who you can always reach out to. It is available. What does that do to the implementations? No, what does SurePath do to the implementations? That's what I'm saying. It gives us predictability in implementations. It provides us with a path to success where it includes additional tooling, which is aligned with the value which you expect from using these capabilities. That's what SurePath is, right? So again, community.guidewire, there's a SurePath group as well. If you have any questions on SurePath, dive into that group, please, right? So now, coming back to APD, right? APD tool, SurePath is now including the use of APD right from the very start, from the inception phase of the project. So now what does that mean, inception phase? I mean, every project has an inception phase. So now we have a very concrete input and output defined from some actions on using APD tool. Two, I want to talk about in inception phase. That is visualization and conceptualization. These FAQs documents, which I mentioned, they mention these terms, visualization and conceptualization. In visualization, as Alec was alluding in the previous answer, our BAs, SMEs, product owners, they're sitting around the table. Using a tool like mind map, we saw the picture of that mind map. Easy to use tool, we can converse. I mean, this node makes sense. This node does not make sense. It should have availability or something like that. Really quickly, I can document all that in the mind map tool. Right? That is visualization. Now, a step ahead of that would be that visualized product in mind map tool is imported into, in the future, into anything. Right now, I'm giving an example of our policy center. It's imported into policy center, and we started to conceptualize that. Conceptualization of that product means that we are adding additional attributes. We're probably changing, adjusting a data model a little bit, changing the availability a little bit, adjusting the availability a little bit. What does that give me for day one of my development? Right? Enables all project teams using a SurePath APD implementation methodology to generate, to commit the data model, the product model, the backend entities, the availability criteria, all the backend XML, the UI, the APIs for digital, for my document production team. Everything can be available day one. Now, what does that do? I mean, that means that those teams can start developing on day one. Meaning, in the yesteryears, all the teams, when they have come to me and said, well, I need 2 sprints to build a product, implement a product, kind of like, okay, in Policy Center, so that you have backend APIs available to you for documentation team to take and consume, for digital team to take and consume. They were delayed by 2 sprints. We had adjusted our SurePath methodology so that digital development started 2 sprints after Policy Center sprint to enable them. No more. APD solves that for us. Thanks, Alec, right? Because now with APD, we can fast track all that work. What that means, we can fast track projects as well using this tooling which automatically generates, does all the hard work for us in the background, right? That is what that means. Shameless plug. In 15 minutes after the session, in Ironwood 5, there is a session. I'm going to go in more detail on what SurePath includes in Art of the Possible, that projects can go live within weeks. APD is an integral part of that methodology. I absolutely ask you, if you have time, please join me in Ironwood 5 after the session. So with that, I want to share a little bit more on where APD is. Our safe harbor slide early in the beginning, how it relates to APD is a part of our early access. And what that means is that the early access customers, there's a specific process on customer to work with Guidewire so that in the context of APD or any early access software feature, it works both ways. Guidewire wants to learn from that implementation, harvest all the experience from that, and publish that as strategic and standard guidance on how to use that capability. What does the customer get for if they're part of the early access? They get to shape the roadmap for that specific capability before that is GA. Very powerful. You have the seat right at the table. You're talking with teams like Alec and his team, shaping up some of the things we don't see, we don't like it here, or this is not usable. Alec and his team is going to be engaged as part of taking that feedback as a part of early access program. Now, if you're interested in APD, please note that APD is a part of our Policy Center early access program. Even though we mentioned that as a part of this, this will be published as microservice or a separate service, Alec, right?
It's a microservice by itself, but it should be part from a purchasing point of view. It's a part of the policy.
Part of Policy Center.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. So yes, if you want to play with APD on your projects, use APD microservice service on your projects. Yes, please sign up as a part of the early access program for Policy Center. That's how you can get access. Again, thank you for coming. And shameless plug, Art of the Possible, go live in weeks in Ironwood 5 next door, starting in half an hour now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.